Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Jonesboro. Today our first guest is Street Superintendent Steve Tippitt. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Good to be here, Bill.
Thank you for joining us. People don't always know what our streets department does and the vast number of miles that you guys are responsible for. The fact is, we are a population of under 80,000, and yet you cover a mileage that's larger than the cities of St. Louis and Cincinnati. That's a pretty big responsibility.
It is a very big responsibility to do.
And how many staff members do you have keeping these streets and areas clean?
Well, in the whole, we have 53 persons on our department. But as actually workers, we probably have around 41, 42 that's actually out on the street working.
So you've got 40-odd people making sure that roads, signage, mowing, all that is passable, safe, marked, and taken care of for everyone in all of these roads.
Yes,
pretty big job.
Yes, we do a pretty good job at what we do. We do have areas that we have trouble in, but we get to them as soon as we can.
And tell us a little, if you would, as best you can sum up all the responsibilities that you guys have.
Right now, our main responsibilities is the drainage. You know, we have 3 classifications in our drainage. We have a major, a minor, and others. Our major drainage is all of our big channels, and we are actually working in them every day. The only thing that keeps us out of them is the weather related. And our second part of our drainage is minor. We have 2 machines that does all the actual roadside ditches on the side of the streets.
That's mowing.
No, that is actually mopping out our roadside ditches. We have 2 machines that we actually mop out our ditches on the roadside.
And what does mopping out mean? Because I don't know if everyone understands that.
Say you got 2 driveways.
Okay.
And the middle of that ditch is higher than the driveway pipe that goes under your driveway. We go in there and we take the excess material out to where the water can flow from one driveway to the other. It is actually taking material out of the ditch.
And so that's just one facet of all your duties. That's your priority right now.
That's the priority right now is our
drainage situations.
Yes.
We always see your crews out filling potholes around town.
Yes. We actually have an asphalt crew. They go around, they're obligated in taking care of all the plumber cuts and any street cuts you see with these metal plates. Our asphalt crew has to maintain them and keep the plates picked up and put out. And we also schedule major dig outs for our asphalt companies to come in and overlay behind us, and plus take care of any pothole patches.
And you do mowing around all the streets.
Yes, we have 3 sidearm mowers that we work in zones. We have 9 zones that we actually mow year round. It takes us about a month and a half to get her over the town, and we go over the town 3 times a year when the grass is growing. Because
it's been such a priority, the ditch maintenance is something that people are concerned about because of the flooding we had back in the spring.
Yes.
And we know another rain season is about to fall upon us, and we hope that we don't have any type of rain situation like that. But tell me some of the obstacles that you face when you get in these ditches.
Our biggest obstacle is if people live beside these big ditches, it seems to be convenient to throw their unwanteds in the ditch, and that causes us problems. We have to get rid of that stuff and to keep from blocking our drainage ditches. You know, when it floats down, it blocks a bridge or something like that, then that causes a big drift in front of the ditch, and that holds back water.
Now, when you talk about unwanted, are you talking about
couches?
Garbage?
Yeah, couches. Mattresses, just all sorts of stuff.
That can inhibit flow.
It causes us a trouble. Yes.
Well, that's not a good thing. What should they do with those when they want to get rid of that type of object?
They need to. The city's patrons are not charged to dump out at our landfill or at the Legacy landfill. Carry it out there to the landfill if you're able to. If you're not, you can put it to the side of the road and contact our sanitation department. And I think they still do pick up unwanted items like that to help us keep our ditches clean.
So you regularly see human or man-made obstacles in the ditches?
That's probably 85% or 90% of our problems with all of our ditches in town.
You do a lot of mowing, including some that does not fall under what we would technically call city obligation. I know the mayor takes a lot of pride in ensuring that our interstate and U.S. highway and state highways are mowed when it gets inside the city limits. Mm-hmm. So we take that. I think the state mows a couple times a year, but or have we taken over that responsibility entirely?
We've taken over 555 from Dan all the way to the city limits close to Bay. We actually keep that mowed. We have one dedicated tractor out there mowing the right-of-way, and we do mow the median where the cable is in the center of the interstate. We'll mow that twice. Every 2 weeks we'll mow it.
Well, having lived in cities that don't, in Arkansas and other states, I know the states probably don't have funding or don't allocate the funding for that. And I can tell you it makes a whole lot of difference in the appearance of your city when you approach it. And so I admire you guys for making sure Jonesboro looks nice when you enter it, because that makes a whole lot of difference in the way it appears when you come to town. I
agree with you, Bill, and all you have to do is go down the interstate and you can see the difference. You know, just go from our city to like going to Mark Tree. You can see the difference. The state mows 3 times a year. I mean, they're limited on funds, and it makes a difference. And it makes our city look a lot better when people does come in town, like you say.
How many miles of streets do we have? How many miles do you have to maintain of streets? How many miles do you mow each year?
On major drainage right now, we have 60-mile channels that we maintain right now. In future, we hope to have 120 miles that we maintain on our major drains. Now, on the streets, we have 500 miles of streets, and we mow just about all of our exterior roads that we took in to keep the shoulder grass down and the drainage open. So when we're mowing, we're not only mowing for the beauty of the street, it actually helps the drainage when we're mowing in the ditches.
The streets, you say 300 miles of streets that you have to maintain?
It's 300 miles of ditches that we have to maintain.
300 miles of ditches around the streets?
Yes.
Okay. And how many miles of streets do we have?
I think there's around 500 miles of streets.
500 miles of streets. So you can run through a couple tanks of gas just going up and down the street.
Just checking on our crews, you can run quite a bit of gas out.
So I guess you don't get to see all the streets every day, do you?
Not every day. When our crews are out there working, we actually try to find 3 or 4 projects in that ward, and we'll work in one area. If our work is work order generated, and we'll go through our work orders and we work in wards. If we have 4 or 5 jobs in a ward, we'll do all 5 of them while we're in that ward to save money and fuel and and stuff like that.
You know, we constantly are striping. We constantly are filling potholes. We're constantly doing asphalt work, and yet there's always a need for more. Do we need more manpower? What would the city need to meet the demands?
We need actually both manpower and money. You know, the mayor gives us $500,000, a little over $500,000 a year to do overlays. You know, we could spend $1 million a year and not get caught up on overlays.
Let's see.
The more we don't overlay, the more we have to maintain. You know, in the winter, in the fall, you'll see a crack filling crew out there. They're doing that to make the streets last longer. If we can keep the water going through the asphalt with this crack filling material we put in there, that'll prolong that street a little longer. You know, when you get behind on asphalt maintenance, it takes a little while to catch up.
I see. Are we behind on asphalt maintenance at the moment?
We are behind on overlays.
But that's a manpower issue.
Manpower and money issue.
And money?
Yes.
Okay. And do we have to take people off of streets to work in ditches? Is it a...
Right now, our manpower is limited. If someone calls in sick, we might have to shut a crew down to keep something more important running. If someone's on vacation, we have to schedule our work around to keep the important jobs running. All of the jobs are important, but we don't have enough staff for someone to be out or be sick to keep all the crews running that we operate at this time.
In the wake of the May flood, I believe we bought another excavator. Is that correct?
We have purchased another excavator. It's a 350 John Deere. We bought it. Actually, when that flood hit, we lost a pipe system out on Lawson Road. You know, and it took us a week to replace that. But during that week, we had to pull our other two machines that works in the ditch out just to do that box job because they wasn't big enough to do the work. So the mayor and the councilman asked me what we needed, and I told them we need a machine that we can actually go do a project like that without shutting our other machines down. So they was gracious enough to give it for us.
So sometimes one cure leads to another.
Yes.
Situation.
One help in one place help three other places.
Right. It takes a lot of synergy from a lot of departments to make good things happen for the city.
It sure does. It takes everyone at the city to make the city work.
Tell me what's coming. What do you see? I know we're heading into fall, which means winter's around the corner. What do you see on the project list? What are your concerns as we get closer toward winter?
Well, we're working on, right now, what we're trying to get done by the end of next month is our 60 miles that we annually do. We're trying to get them open. That's our major channels that carries the water out of town. And then we'll start working on our channels that gets it out of the subdivisions to our big channels. So we're trying to get it to where if we do have a big rain, we can get it out of town. You know, once we get it out of town, it might back up on us. But we're going to do our best to get it to where no one has this problem again.
Okay. Are there any particular projects that you feel like the people need to know about? In particular neighborhoods or streets that are coming up?
Well, we are waiting on a permit for out on Murray Creek. We're hoping to get it completed before the bad weather gets to us. That's one of our contract ditches that we have. You know, we hired a contractor to come in here and do 5 or 6 ditches for us. And we're waiting on a permit from the Corps of Engineers, which will be the 28th. We should hear something on it. And hopefully we can get that ditch took care of. That's really one of the ditches that causes us a headache in my department.
Okay. And I want everyone to know that you can always go to the city website and click on report a concern. And if you have something that you feel like needs to be addressed by the city in any department, but also in the street department, you can make your comment on there and it will be addressed. We will get a response, and we will make sure it gets passed along to the right department and that they address it and respond to you as well. The same is true for our Facebook page, City of Jonesboro. Follow it, like it, whatever the thing is to do, and make your post on there. But Steve, how do people directly reach your streets department?
They can contact us at 932-0660. That gets to my office, and they can get it to where it needs to be. Excellent.
Steve, thank you for taking the time to join us today. I know you always look forward to being on Let's Talk.
I sure do. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Our next guest on Let's Talk is Tim McCall. Welcome, Tim, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tim is the event chairman of the BBQ Festival, and it is about to get underway in the coming week. Tim, tell us a little bit about this year's festival and who we have coming and what's going on at this event.
We've got, this year we're really excited. In the past we've had, as you know, several pretty good acts in the past, and
Absolutely.
it's always been kind of one main entertainer, if you will. But this year we actually have two, and we have Brett Michaels, the former lead singer of Poison, and
The Rock of Love.
well, there you go. There you go. So, and then with Brothers Osborne as well, country music duo, and they are really up and coming, and expect a lot of big things from them in the future.
That's great. We've got a young rock country act and a veteran rock and roll act that should draw a big crowd.
We think so. We think it'll be the biggest crowd we've seen yet.
And this is the 9th year, am I correct?
It is. If you count the sesquicentennial celebration, which was kind of the first year we did the barbecue and then the music entertainment downtown, it would be the 9th year.
And the barbecue competition has grown through the years too, is that not right?
It has. It started out as a very, very small little idea, if you will, and with A&P's Commission's help and the city's help, it's turned into a pretty interesting event, and we've got people from all over the country, for what it's worth, especially the Mid-South area, that come and cook their wares.
Now the BBQ Festival is October 1st. It's on a Saturday, and it draws big crowds. It's held downtown Jonesboro, and tell us a little bit about the configuration.
We have our barbecue festival happens on the city parking lot across from the Housing and Urban Development and next to Abilities Unlimited in that parking lot. So Union Street's blocked off from the bridge area and all the way up to Washington. And Main Street is blocked off. That's where all our arts and craft vendors and a lot of our food vendors are going to be. Of course, all the downtown merchants will be open, and we'd certainly love to have guests as well that day, I'm sure. And we have a stage at the very end of Main Street before you cross over the railroad tracks, and it's the Hijinks is one of our sponsors. And it's the Hijinks stage, so we'll have some acts beginning on it about 3 o'clock, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But okay. And then the main stage is in the parking lot upwards of near the Forum, I guess, and where Don Jose's used to be in that area. So.
Okay. So what type of vendors, what type of booths, who all will be there, and what can people expect?
Well, we've had in years past, it's a family event. I mean, we try to make it that way. We'll have Hijinks again. We'll have their blow-up toys, if you will, bouncy houses, things like that out there. And they should be over in the lot near Huntington, the parking lot by Huntington.
Right.
And we'll have arts and crafts, a lot of food vendors. You can get roasted corn, plenty of barbecue, hamburgers. And most of those vendors will be in some of the parking lots off of Main Street this year. We really tried to do something a little bit different this year and leave Main Street open, especially up near the stage, so we'll be able to have more people. They'll have a pretty good access or view of the stage. Sometimes when you have food trucks right up there next to it, they kind of get in the way of line of sight of the actor or entertainment.
Now you've had big crowds in the past years, right?
We have. Every year, I'm going to say is right around the same number, but during the event, we've seen as many as 15,000 plus at the actual concert. Of course, it's a free concert for the community. Even 38 Special, there was a rainstorm and it rained a good part of that show. We had as big a crowd there as we've had others as well. So I would venture to say there's probably 20,000 plus, if not maybe closer to 30 people that are downtown during the day and going into the shops and kind of wandering around. And of course the concert itself, we would probably estimate anywhere around 10,000 people, maybe sometimes a little more than that as well. So I think this year we will see a pretty good crowd, barring any bad weather. So.
Right. Tim, I know this started with you mentioned the sesquicentennial event, and it became an annual thing. How did that come down, and how did it happen, and why is it important to keep it going that way?
Well, I had the opportunity to chair the sesquicentennial celebration in 2009 for the county and the city, and we went through the whole year and finally decided, well, we've got to have an ending. We had different events during each month, and I kind of followed the 1959 sesquicentennial celebration logistical trail, if you will, in regard to what they did. And we thought, you know what, we want to have a big party, a big event downtown and bring everybody together. And so we were able to incorporate a barbecue competition, which wasn't Kansas City barbecue sanctioned at that time. And then we had Night Ranger, which was a 1980s band.
Sure.
And it was just amazing, the number of people, and everybody was, I guess, pleased with the number of people that showed up. And it was right about the time Mayor Perrin actually took office, and he called me one night and he said, why don't we try to keep this going and maybe continue the barbecue competition? So we did, and at the time I served on the A&P Commission, and we were able to keep it going with funding. And let me say this too, A&P Commission is truly the sole sponsor of this event. I mean, 95% plus of the monies that go to this come from A&P to try to improve the quality of life for the city of Jonesboro and our communities elsewhere outside, as well as bring people to town. And you know, I've always said, I mean, it's kind of a small version of an economic development machine, because we have people we've had people call us from Indiana, Washington, wanting to know about
right?
the barbecue competition. And I talked to 2 people this week already outside the state that said that they're planning on coming. And then aside from that, with the music, the Downtown Jonesboro Facebook page, if you get on that and look at some of the questions from people from out of state, you know, what time does it start? You know, where exactly is Jonesboro located? Things like that. I think there's a lot of people this year, especially we'll see as our digital media and things like that have become a little more prevalent in how we're trying to reach the communities outside of Jonesboro. I think we're going to have a good crowd this year. But it is important. I think it's important for the community to have a signature event for downtown Jonesboro. And in my real job, I travel all around Northeast Arkansas, and it never fails. Somebody will ask me about it, even in Batesville or Paragould or elsewhere.
So in less than a decade, it's become our signature, what we're known for beyond our borders.
I think from music and barbecue perspective anyway. So.
That's right.
And, you know, people spend money. I mean, those folks that come from Batesville and Walnut Ridge, I mean, they spend their dollar in Jonesboro just like we do. So.
What does the Kansas City sponsorship mean? What does the Kansas City barbecue trademark mean?
It's very big. I mean, that brings a lot of people. We're actually on their side as well. So thousands and thousands of people are a part of that organization. I mean, it does bring credibility. We have sanctioned judges, if you will, that oversee the judges that come in. I believe they're coming in Wednesday night before the event and starting to meet with our barbecue folks and kind of organize the aspect of the competition and the judging aspect of it. I mean, it just brings a lot of credibility. I mean, you know, and they come in and run it for us, help to run it for us.
Very nice. They have it run to the actual competition.
Yes.
Not the food that we're going to eat, but the competition that different people come from around the state and the nation.
We have judges that drive from Memphis. I believe it was the year before last, we had some judges from Georgia that drove here to judge. And they don't get paid. I mean, that's just something they like to do. And
in my heart of hearts, they're getting paid just fine.
Yeah.
They're getting to eat barbecue, but
it's good.
I'm not.
One thing people kind of are surprised at when they come to the event is, you know, they think they're going to get to walk around and eat a lot of free barbecue. Unfortunately, with the health department standards and rules and you know, when they're cooking on Saturday, I mean, you don't mess with them. You can certainly walk around. They're not going to be giving you a chicken wing or a rib bone because they're in the middle of working. And you certainly can't buy it from them based on our state laws. But we will have vendors there that are serving barbecue. On another note, we were talking about the other things going on. The Blessed Sacrament Bazaar will be happening that same day, which is just right around the corner. And they'll be selling barbecue, and it's fabulous if you haven't had it. Foundation of Arts, Arts in the Park will be going on across in the Forum. There'll be wrestling downtown, mid-afternoon. A lot of things going on. Arts and crafts vendors. So a lot for everybody to do of all ages.
I understand where you're coming from. People come to barbecue and want to taste it. Well, you get to taste the barbecue. You don't get to taste the competition barbecue,
Right.
perhaps. But you know, if you go to the national championship, if you go to the national championship football game, you might get to buy a football or a T-shirt, but you
Not
don't
the
get to
real
play
one.
on the field.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much how it goes. Anything else? What do people need to know? They need to know, come, you don't have to bring money, you have to find a place to park and come out rain or shine, and we're going to have a good time on October 1st.
Rain or
downtown
shine, you're right.
Jonesboro.
A couple of things, if I might add. Friday night, there'll be a band downtown. It'll be called Wildlife. It'll be on the hijinks stage at 6 p.m. Saturday, the music starts around 3 on the hijinks stage. Impact band, a little bit, and then Greasy Tree will be playing from at 3, 4:30, and 6. And then the County Fair band will be on at 3 o'clock on the main stage, the NEA Baptist main stage, by the way. That's one of our main sponsors. And at 4 o'clock, we have the Barbecue Awards. And then 5, the Flatland Funk Donors, which is a local band, and they're fabulous if you haven't seen them. I mean, they're awesome. Brothers Osborne comes on at 6:30, and Brett Michaels comes on at 8. So you want to make sure you get, I mean, parking-wise, I mean, it's kind of a free-for-all. There's no paid parking or anything like that, so you just kind of show up where you can get a parking spot. But certainly there's plenty of places to park around the outskirts of downtown Jonesboro. And then, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of our sponsors, because although Jonesboro
right ahead,
A&P
yes.
Commission is by far the largest of the bunch, Ritter Communications, Bartell's Family Dentistry, Townsend Spice and Supply is our barbecue sponsor this year, Rural Sourcing Incorporated, St. Bernard's Healthcare, NEA Baptist, which is our main stage sponsor. We appreciate them. First Community Bank, First National Bank, Hijinks, Keg Towing, Mooney Law Firm, Farm Bureau, Bobby McDaniel Law Firm, Hytro, and then the Fairfield Inn and Suites. I mean, all of these people have put in time or money to help sponsor and make this event happen. And then also you can't forget the city employees that are out there, every single department. Many of them on their time off because they just want to be there, from finance to parks to sanitation, of course, police and fire. I mean, we've got just the whole crew, streets as well. I mean, I can't thank anybody any more than the city of Jonesboro for kind of in-kind contributions that they do to make this event happen. So, oh, and of course, Downtown Jonesboro Association. Haley Knight's been a great help. She's pitched in and helped us come up with some different ideas and try to make the whole event better.
And they always do. They're everywhere with
Absolutely,
downtown.
absolutely.
So, very good. Tim, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being with us.
Appreciate
Tim
it.
McCall of the BBQ Festival, and I hope everyone looks forward to it and has a great October 1st. That's it for this week's Let's Talk Jonesboro. We'll do it again in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.